Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark and we're gonna make your Friday Eve video. It's gonna be a little bit different. The weather has just been, well, you've seen on the last video, it's been cold, it's been windy, it's been snowy, now it's warming up, it's getting cold, it's raining. It's just that time of year. It's actually, I'm filming this on the 5th of March and I'm just showing you some things that are coming your way here in the future. We got to do a little test out of these log tongs, and these are pretty heavy duty, made by Vever or Vever, or however you want to pronounce it. So they had sent this out for us to give this a try at the mill, and I think this will come in handy up at Uncle Edmund's when we start playing around with the firewood. Also, AJ Shaver, he sent us out a few log lift bags to try when we're getting into we're going to get into a little bit more firewood here, and kind of looking forward to seeing how these are going to work out. I'm going to get the camera off the stand here and we'll just do a little walk around of what is going on. So yeah, these log lift bags, they have like a mosquito netting on them to dry the wood out. Go over to Shaver, AJ Shaver, they sell all kind of firewood and wood processing equipment. Very nice gentleman. I talked to him on the phone a couple times and he said, I will send you a couple out. I think he sent us 3 out to test out and see how we like them. And I told him we'll be demonstrating these on YouTube. So I went and got some pipe. I'm going to make a stand to hold the bags in. Here's another little project that's underway. I'm going to get some filming on this, be another shop video. This is going to be the firewood bucking station. So that's just the front piece, and did some layout where there'll be 4x4s. Here's some of the 4x4s. Here's some poplar, and you'll be able to cut your sticks of wood into rounds. Then they'll roll backwards, and then eventually they'll end up on this roller table, and they'll be able to be scooted along over to the log splitter, and I think that ought to work out pretty good. We got a couple air filtration systems. I did buy all this stuff, and we're going to be working in a shop more, and I want to get my air a little bit more clean as far as finishes and as far as my personal health. So we'll get these things rigged up. I'll bring you along, and we're going to put 2 of them up, and they're going to go up. They're going to go up closer to the ceiling. I want to keep them up high. I'll put one on this side, and we'll put one over by the coffin here. And a lot of people ask, why do you have coffins? Well, when my kids were young, we had some Halloween parties, and they needed that for a prop. Here's another little project that got kind of tabled here. This is going to be my new barbecue station, and it is stainless steel. I acquired this out of a scrap pile. It's going to have a couple drawers in it, a mobile base to store all your knives and different things for barbecue, and it's just going to be another little fun project. And that happened right around the time that my eye problems started happening. And we got, well, here's some more wood that's going to be used for that firewood bucking station. I also am going to be changing out this sliding unit on my table saw. This thing I've had since 1986, and I'm going to go with the SawStop, their sliding unit. We have one at work. I love the thing. It moves so much easier and it's so much more accurate. So that's going to be another little project. We're going to be upgrading the table saw a little bit. And here's another little project going on. These are the B-box lids, and we need 15 total, so I got 8 of them done. This is made out of our white pine, and I'll bring you along, and we'll go ahead and build the last 6 of these, and that'll be another separate video. And it just goes on and on. Oh yeah, over here, this video is going to be a lot of talking, so this isn't your cup of tea, very sorry. This is a piece of walnut that went into a Y on a tree, and we had cut a couple sections out, and I'm going to flatten that thing out on our flattening jig, and I'm going to turn that into a nice little epoxy table. I'm going to make like an end table for my rec room. So that's something else coming your way. So between all this stuff, that ought to keep me busy. Again, like I said, I'm going to put you back in a stand here and go back in front of the camera here. So I'm interested to see how these are going to work. He gave me a lot of information on how high to make the rack, and we're going to give it a try and see how it works out. And if it works good enough, I might even start bagging our slab wood, and that might make it a lot easier that we get a small conveyor up there at the chop saw with the mill and just let the slabs go right into the bag, and then all we do is pick them up, move them around, and that'll free up a guy just hand stacking wood for, you know, no reason, but it keeps it cleaner up the mill. So we're going to head up to the mill. I got to sharpen the blade. We got a lot of white pine come in, and I showed you the short video, and it's just some beautiful white pine. And they're going to be logging out the road. There'll be more white pine. So we go from one extreme to the other. We saw cherry for a long time. Then we got into the poplar for a long time. And we're going to be back into the softwoods, bouncing back and forth to get that poplar sawed up. So, but yeah, I'll show you how I sharpen the blade. And we'll get the log on the carriage, because I got to get some pictures taken for Johann Boss. We're working on a different t-shirt or hoodie or whatever, but it's going to be a Chewy shirt or hoodie, and I'm going to get some pictures, and that's why I wanted that big old gnarly piece of spruce put onto the carriage. And I'll show you how the controls work in the mill, and just a lot of different things that you don't get to see when we're actually sawing. So I hope you enjoyed this little Friday video, and you know, some people like to see behind the scenes. Also, we got to finish building, I don't have it here, we got one more cylinder to rebuild for the dogs. It's leaking, and there's just a ton of stuff to do. The weather's going to start breaking. I'm down to my last final, less than 2 months now of work, and then I'll be able to make a lot more videos, get back in the shop, get up to the mill a lot more. We'll get into firewood. We're going to get into everything. So, and also for another project coming up, I talked about the solar kiln, Virginia Tech. So we're going to be building a solar kiln, maybe 2, and that'll go up at Uncle Edmund's place up on the property up there. And we're going to start solar drying lumber up there. So anyhow, let's go up to the mill. Let's get the blade sharpened, and we'll get a log on the carriage, get some pictures taken, show you the controls. And next time I see you, we will be cutting some, the next sawing video, we're going to be cutting some nice big white pines in the sheeting. And I believe there's going to be one more snack video of cutting 6x6s out of a big old piece of gnarly spruce. So, all right, enough said, and let's just get up to the mill and get something done. All right, we're up here at the sawmill. It's actually after work one afternoon, and I figured I'd bring you along. It's time to sharpen the blade. And I try to put on a couple videos a year of showing how I sharpen the saw, and everybody is curious, how do you sharpen the saw? So we'll get a little bit more in depth here today. I use a Andrus air grinder, and basically it runs off of compressed air, and this thing here clamps to the blade, and this thing here is a diamond wheel. This spins, and it literally sharpens the bottom of the saw bit as it spins. So we'll show you that when we get over to the blade. But before we get into the actual sharpening, here's some different things to show you. Not sure how good the lighting is, but we're under the roof of the building. This is a diamond wheel, and the reason I use diamond is we're running carbide bits. This happens to be a Piper's bit, and their bits have really been good to me. I can't complain about them. Now, when you're using the diamond or the ruby wheel, you should have a dressing stick, because what this does is it cleans all that stuff out of the wheel itself and keeps that wheel very sharp. Now here is a chrome bit, and I'd run these for a lot of years after I switched from steel, and there's really nothing wrong with the chrome. You can't swedge a chrome bit like a steel bit, and some people say you can file them. I say no. If you're going to run chrome, get yourself a ruby wheel and do yourself a big favor. Now here's how this is called a saw bit. It's not a tooth. People argue that. And what holds it into the blade, this is called a shank. Some people call it a ring, but it's technically called a shank. And the saw bit locks into that little shoulder, and if you notice, the actual shank sits in one circle and the bit sits in another circle. This is a F pattern, and it is considered a double circle cut into the saw. So you have an F and a B that run the double, and then there's a 3-inch and a 2.5 that use a single circle. So this would actually be in line with that in a 2.5 or a 3, and it sits in a single circle, not a double circle. So we'll go over to the saw here real quick, and what I always do is I mark the first tooth I'm going to sharpen, and that way when I go around you don't have to count 52. So but if you look at it here, there it is. There's your shank. Here's your saw bit, and these are carbides. Some of these are Simon's the super bits, I believe, from Simon's, and some are Piper's after a couple of those got chipped. So we're going to go ahead and get the air compressor fired out. In fact, you can see the stamping on them for the F pattern, F8, and they're sharp, but they need just a little bit of tweaking. The best thing about sharpening a saw is just keep it sharp. Don't let it get dull. Once you get a dull saw, you'll have all kinds of problems. You'll get heat, you'll get wobbling, and incorrect cuts. You'll ruin a lot of lumber. So just it takes me 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes by the time I fire up the compressor, get everything out. It's well worth it. So let's fire up the air, and I'll show you how I sharpen a saw, and you can go back on a lot of videos and see how I do this. So let's get moving. Okay, here we are at the saw blade. Got the compressor running, and my microphone's on. So first tooth, and again, this whole assembly clamps on the saw. This little guy right here is the stop. It's going to sit underneath the actual shoulder. And also what I forgot to mention is that style bit is called a standall. I try to put my foot against the back of the blade as a brake. And I hope I got you in a good position here. So on the other side, I'm going to lock it down, but you make sure that that is touching the bottom of that little shoulder on this standall, and that keeps the angle perfect. So don't take much. So, and that's about all you want to do. And I work backwards, so that way I can just jump the sharpener forward, set it back down on the next bit, and because we're going to get into some white pine here, and you want sharp bits. And once you get far enough ahead here, we're going to check the first bit. And what we want to look for is to make sure that the bottom of that is absolutely ground down. Yep. And you can feel the difference if you pull your finger back on this versus one of these. There's no resistance on a dull one. A sharp one, you can feel it sort of snagging your skin. All you safety police, no small animals got harmed in filming this. That's just how I do it. So please don't say I should have gloves and a helmet, and also a lot of people had said about you're going to get lung problems with the carbide. You're grinding such a small amount. We're in the open air. So yeah, you just you got to do this 52 times, and you'll see that this disc, you really can't see from your angle, but this disc here, let me see if this is going to show you, but you can see it gets kind of gummed up there. So what I'll do is I'll turn the sharpener on, I'll put the stick against it, and I don't know if I can, well, let me just show you, and I'll show you the difference when we get done cleaning it. And again, you can see the dust went down below me, and look at the difference. Now it's nice and clean again, and it'll sharpen the carbide up real nice. So some people like to watch all the stuff that we do. I'll give this a, you can feel it bite in a little bit better too. And we'll just keep working our way around the saw, and when we're done, I think I'm going to do is fire up the mill, and I'll show you what's on the log deck for the next time we saw. We're trying to get a picture of Chewy so that we can, we're working on a concept for a t-shirt. So I got a nasty old piece of spruce, so I'm going to try to get some still photos of that. So we'll fire this old beast up and get one on the carriage and get some different shots for Johann Boss so he can look at the thing. So I'm going to finish sharpening here, and I will catch you here in a few minutes. Is everybody still with me? Well, I found 2 broken saw bits. So what I always do at this point, we're gonna put you back in the stand here, and what I try to do is keep older saw bits around that are ground down. You know, a lot of life is off of these bits, so they won't be the same kerf as a brand new one. If anything, you want them to be just a little bit more narrow, and I think these are going to be fine. And I'm not sure if this happened during the saw and frozen lumber, but anyhow, it happens. So basically, we're going to put the wrench on there, we're going to jerk this one up out, and this isn't going to let me take it all the way. Here we go. These F's sometimes are really hard to get out, but you pulled your shank out with your broken bit, and we're just going to check everything quickly. There's no damage to the shoulder. We're going to go ahead and install a semi-worn out bit, so we're going to just set it in by hand, and then on the back side of the bit, we're just going to we're not hitting the carbide. We just don't want that falling down into the sawdust pit. And then we're going to go ahead and put our tool back. And once you put a bunch of them in, it gets easier and easier, but and you want to just jerk it back down in until it don't go no more. And then the last step that I always do is called seating the shank, and you just want to give it a couple blows down in, and that seats it. So now that we put that one back in, it feels really sharp, but we're going to give it just one quick crank with the sharpener. And that's the whole idea of keep doing maintenance on your saw, make sure I'm sort of not in the right position. There we go. Now she's nice and sharp, and that'll last as long as the set of these bits will last, and that'll get us through. So it might make a little different sound. We're running, like I said, we're mixing some pipers in with the Simons, but I've done it before and it works fine. So we'll change the other bit out, then we'll get back to what we were talking about before, getting that log on there, get some pictures. Well, this is what we're going to be sawing coming up, and I'm not sure when I'm going to show the time-lapse bit. It might be in the next sawing video of us scanning them and getting them ready, but this is just a nasty piece of spruce that we're going to try to get, and the word is try to get 4 6x6s out that we can cut into 3-foot pieces, and that will be on a snack video. And by the way, we're keeping the term snack. Let's go in the cab here. Yeah, there's too many people that just love to complain, and a lot of people have brought it to my attention. They like the name snack, and just a one log video. All right, a little bit of stuff goes on in the cab here, and I do periodically videos of inside the saw cab to show you what goes on. Here's my actual start button here. So in order to get anything to work functionally on this sawmill, first of all, the blade got to be spinning. Okay, so we're going to go out and put the power takeoff in, and this is a inverter. A lot of people says, why don't you put an inverter in your cab and run it off the bus motor? I do. That's 1500 watts. This orange cord here goes to the, right by my seat here is a box, and that box has hundreds of wires in it that go to every single button and control on the carriage. So everything I do in here, minus the actual direct hydraulic, which is actually a valve. This is for Chewy. It's a 2-directional valve, runs a hydraulic motor, but we'll get into all that here in a minute. And here's the famous Mr. Laser, which sits right there. So that's where Mr. Laser actually sits, right up above where the camera goes. And this is how you guys get to see the carriage go up and down the track. And like I said, I like to show these videos once in a while. So let's go out and put the power takeoff in. And it was just too cold to finish up making another video for Friday Eve. So normally I don't have all this stuff in my cab with me when we're sawing, but I'm not going to fire the generator up. So this is what you see Eddie do all the time, is put the power takeoff in. Now everything is being run through a V-belt. There's 6 of them. And that's what makes everything on the mill work. Alright, let's go back up in the cab. And again, look at these. These are some nice, I believe this one here is going to have somewhere around 400 or so board feet in it. These are 16 foot long, or 16.6. And, but again, I want to get some pictures for my buddy Johan Boss that did some artwork for us. So I figured I'd go ahead and get the log up on the carriage. So first thing I do when we're going to saw a log, and our buddy, I think his name is George Walton, he loves it when I say, all right, let's wake the doggies up from their nap, so you can see them come up. And then when I hit the out button, see them jump forward. And then in order to get a big enough opening, we're going to hit that button, and you'll see the knees wind open. And then when I push forward on the stick, the carriage goes backwards. This is set up just like a handset mill. When you push the stick away from you, the carriage should be on return, and when you pull it towards you, it should be coming forward. So when I pull it forward, there it goes. And it's a hydraulic motor that runs that big cable drum. So this first foot pedal here, when I push this down, that runs the chains. So we're going to get this up to the cradle. I gotta see who's calling me. I have no idea. So we're going to get up until we hit inside the cradle. And I think this log's going to be an excellent one for the artwork. Then you can sort of see it take a roll forward. You don't want to keep jamming the next log against it. So, looking at this log and looking at the dowel, I know I'm going to need a little bit more room. So let's just stop it. We'll stop at 20. So, we're into the cradle now. This pedal here on the end runs the stop and load. So, this log is 10 foot long roughly, so we should be good where it's out. So, logs with big knots on them can give you some trouble. But if you see when I reversed it, it sort of kicked it up. And then the third pedal in the middle is my log loader pedal. And then if we put the laser on, you can see where you'd be cutting, but we're not really worried about that right now. What we want to do is get some nice photographs for Chewy. So I'm gonna get Chewy up in the air and take some nice pictures. I might even leave the laser on. So that basically shows you what needs done. So before I quit here, I'll give you a little bit more demonstration of what happens here. So when we're ready to saw this thing, okay, the arms are up, holding it back. I make sure my dogs are all the way up, all the way out, and then I dog it down. And I look at the last dog on the fourth head block and make sure it had bottomed out, because that tells me the hydraulics is limit out. So it's definitely going to be holding. Now, the master dog. Got to have the master dog on stuff like this. So, hit the down button, and there it is. You got a securely dogged down log. So when you're going to saw, basically you're going to be going back and forth. I can't do that right now because I'm sort of set up where I can't do it. But anyhow, as you're sawing, each one of these buttons is a board thickness. So if I press 1, it's going to be 4/4, 5/4. This will be 1.5 inches, 2 inch. And we really don't have nothing really set on that one. And then again, the forward and reverse on the actual knees. And this actually runs Chewy. Push away, it goes down. You pull forward, it comes up. And if you want Chewy to spin, you go off to the side. And that's what makes Chewy run the chain. And here's my tapers over here. So this is in and out for number 1, in and out for number 2, as far as my taper attachment. So that gives you a pretty good idea of what happens while I'm sawing up here. And I would like to do a couple more future when I had the cab cam, so that way you could actually see what I'm doing while the actual camera out front is showing the actual sawing, and then I'd switch back and forth. And or no, I actually kept it up in the top corner of the screen, and a lot of people, some loved it and some just cried. So you know, you can't please everybody, it's YouTube. So alrighty everybody, I'm glad you come along to see the saw get sharpened. We found 2 broken bits. There's always maintenance, and the weather's getting nicer. We'll come out here and do a lot more maintenance. I want to get that second set of dog's the hydraulic cylinder rebuilt in it. So I'm not sure when this little piece will air or what video it will be in, but we'll go on to something different. So we'll see you in a bit.